Hello and welcome back to the Alienware Awesome Cup Tournament.
Oh yes. It's
Yes,
been
you
quite a day.
did not just see us doing a weird, just sitting there. No. Anyway, welcome back. We got another best of 3 for you guys. This time between two teams, closers who we've already covered before.
Yep.
They were a very impressive game. They played a very impressive game in that best of one.
Well.
They closed well. And always be closing.
Have you ever seen Suits?
No.
It's a good show.
It's a good show.
They
Good
close
show?
a lot there too.
Okay, cool.
I'm just every time I see closers, I'm like, Suits. That's all I can think of.
To be fair, the bit that I have seen of Suits, some very attractive-looking people.
It's a good
on that
show.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
it's
attractive-looking.
Yeah,
people.
awesome.
And
All right.
they are up against team Win Fast Please.
Which is a misnomer.
So we've heard, but let's go ahead and see how they do in game one. Let's take a look at the picks. On closers, we've got Leon, Ted, and Skoldir. On Win Fast Please, we've got Penny, Leon, and the Scoop of Justice. And this is going to happen on Sorona for the first time this tournament.
Dun, dun, dun.
We've
We're gonna
got the
see
worm.
some worms.
I love the worm. The worm is my favorite. The
Say it
worm is like,
louder.
the worm is my favorite.
The scoop of justice, and you love the worm.
The
Yeah.
worm is my favorite.
I really like the team comp.
It's
from
the
Win
best.
Fast Please, because the scoop and those hammers, just the length that he can kind of just throw them. There's a lot of horizontal spaces here. I mean, I'm looking at the map right now. It's like horizontal, and then a little dash, and then the level, and then a dash, and then the worm, and then a dash. There's so many places that this hammer can go.
And it's a very powerful combination with Penny. It's a great setup into a pounce, a great setup into a tongue. It's a great way to keep people in place. And on top of that, Scoop is a really tanky character who can do the meat shielding that Leon and Penny need. On the other team, we got closers. They've got Skoldir and Leon, so both ways to kind of get people out of position. And they've got Ted. It's just a really solid makeup. Nothing really standing out outside of, hey, I can throw people into terrible things, or I can tongue people into airstrike and other terrible things. So the Leon is going to be their late game carry. Win Fast Please, they've got Penny and Leon who can do that job more or less. And closers, they've got Ted and Skoldir who are just going to be beefy and annoying and just do what they need to do. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Sorona, for the first time this tournament.
I'm excited.
I am excited too. It's like this is a map that lends itself well to a longer game, all things considered, just because people can lane deny with the worm. So let's go ahead and get started with the people playing the stuff. We've got Leon being played by Hehehe on there. We got Mr. Fridge playing Ted, and we've got Mabel on the Skoldir, which makes very little sense. We got an airstrike, we got a tongue, and there's going to be lots of damage all over the place. But Buckets on closers being played by playing a Leon, going to get out of there just in time. And then atypically on the Penny, also going to get out of there while after taking a sizable amount of damage. Going to pick up some of the health packs to get her right back into the lane.
Yeah.
Keenan, this time, instead of playing a Nah, playing the Scoop.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I believe Keenan was the Nah, and last time we also saw
Raylan on atypically, yeah.
Atypically was the Raylan. Did they have a Coco? I want to say they had a Coco back then as well.
I'm not sure. I think Buckets was still playing a Leon at that point as well.
Also, Rip, no Coco. This is our
Rip.
first game of no Coco in a little bit. But that double airstrike really putting up that zoning pressure. That's already going to be atypically running the other way. But First Blood could go to the Buckets. Oh, I think Buckets was actually, he wasn't Coco. He was actually Leon.
Yeah, he was absolutely Leon.
So
in
the
this
repeat.
case. So, yeah, repeat pick there. Pulling a King Richard, but with a different character. It's all gravy. Bucket's extremely low. I don't know what he's doing right now. He should probably
No
find
health packs.
shelter.
Yeah.
So no health packs, no nothing. Mr. Fridge now looking to go ahead and do some damage to this bottom turret a little bit, but he just tosses out the airstrike.
I think it's worth mentioning here, Mr. Slow, since this is our first time on Sorona. It is only really these two lanes. It's the sky the limit, but we don't have anybody really to use the vertical space except perhaps the Penny. But it's all about this middle right here. This middle is not only really what you want to be controlling in terms of the 500 in the mid, but as well, it's really the big balance of the map, because underneath with that switch is going to be the worm, and under there, of course, is more cash in their pockets. So whoever controls mid will typically be able to farm under it, which will then lead us into a solar lead.
As what happened with Hehehe right now, as he picked up all the solar from the deceased creeps. The worm just doing a quick nut, like little chew on them, forcing them to drop their solar and die miserably.
There's the worm.
Almost. There. Up. Come on, you can hit that button. Go for it, buddy. Come on, you can do it.
That's rather strange. Never seen that one before.
Yeah, that's like 3 times that. Oh, and Bucket's almost getting killed by his own teammate there. That's another problem with the worm. And atypically putting out a pounce, pushing Mr. Fridge underneath the worm. And Keenan going to toss out a hammer. It's not going to hit anything. And then the teams just kind of bounce off of each other right now. So here we are. We're still kind of off against one another. The 3-minute mark, nothing really happening. We've got double airstrike coming out of the Ted McPain. Yep. But aside from that, no other really big standout upgrades. Oh, stun punch on the Scoldier as well. That's important.
Stun or heal?
Stun punch and a heal punch.
All right, so yeah, he does have both, and he's going to use them to big effect right there, but no, it's going to be the dash out from the Penny. It's not going to be a capitalization there. And you've now also seen the enemy Leon here, Buckets. He's actually been doing a little bit of farming under here as well. It's going to actually get hit by that airstrike, but I'm not entirely too sure anyone saw it. Both the Leons, so the big danger there, of course, if you go down there to pick up the solar from the deceased creeps, the natural spawn, whatever, you can actually die to your teammates, to opponents, whoever hits the worm. Oh, that airstrike nearly takes home.
I want to see Ice Buckets try to do something here. Atypically taking a bit of damage, almost gets tongued, but the tongue just misses. Mr. Fridge taking a little bit of damage as well from the bindings out of the scoop. So a little bit of harassment coming out of both teams, but right now the middle again in the control of the red team right now. Closers held it for a brief period of time, but it's been mostly in red hands in this best of 3 first game.
Well, taking a quick look at the solar, I mean 7-6-6 for the hundreds, 4-6-5, almost 6 there for the closers. So yeah, a little bit more going towards the way Win Fast plays. And again, it does really come down to that mid-control. And right now, atypically, just going to have to try to use as much vertical movement as she can to try to evade some of this damage. But they're still looking for that first kill. This is, of course, game number 1 as well. Something we've been seeing he do is actually with that invis. But whoa, lots of damage all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it looks like atypically might just end up going down, and he does. First blood going down in favor of the red team right now, which is great for them. Unfortunate for closers, as they are probably jockeying for that, and they almost got 2 of them. Oh, they found Hey. They know he's around and that he's invisible off of that snare. Mabel going to take a little bit of damage as well down here, but he'll probably just get it, or not. Never mind. Scoop's hammer coming out to dissuade any more punching on his friend Leon on Buckets. But aside from that, yeah, then it's done.
But yeah, so Hey has actually been using the stealth very liberally. He's been leaving clones out, usually on the bottom lane as well. Clones, they might not be attacking clones, at least this early on. I'm not entirely too sure we'll see it because it's something we have yet to see. But it also helps slow down creeps. But you can also use it to corral them into that little worm area so that they kind of don't leave it, and then you just come down, pop out the worm, pick up the solar. Really nice farming tactic.
It is a really creative and clever use of the ability, too. Not a lot of people use it that way, and they know that Bucket's around. They're probably not going to go underneath that worm.
For it.
Yeah, they definitely know. And out comes the damage. Atypically going to take the majority of it. Double airstrike, not going to hit anybody, and then another hammer to come out.
Hammer,
yeah, that did Fridge a decent amount of damage. Atypically is going to have to be careful. So Atypically currently having a bit of a tough time being relevant in these fights. The pounces are and the pulses are coming out, but they feel like they're not doing enough on their own quite yet.
So the big combo that I really want to see here is tongue and a hammer into just the penny burst. Because if you're going to be tongued, you're now into automatically the melee range of the Leon. If you get hammered, you can't leave anywhere. You get yourself some really good stuff. But we haven't really been seeing that kind of combo. It's always been Penny kind of leading things off. She does have a lot of vertical movement to use. And you see here, it's not quite synergizing as well as blue team wants.
No, it's not, and it's a little bit difficult to make this particular combo work, all things considered. It's tough. What you'd love to have happen is they typically pounce someone from behind and then use the tongue as a follow-up. If they thought they got away, they are not going to get away. Like, the tongue is a really easy way to force them to come back without much problem. Pounce, on the other hand, is a great way to initiate. Mabel taking a lot of damage right now. Buckets trying to do some left click. Lots more coming out. The binding's going to do a lot of damage to the rest of the team.
Nice hammer.
And the hammer just barely missing the last person on the red team. So this is Win Fast Please taking is being forced out of the mid slowly but surely, and hopefully the blue team can go ahead and capitalize on some of that sweet solar near the worm.
And they're going to really look to catch up a little bit here. They're down a kill, and of course they have been down all that default farming under that worm, because the bigger You notice sometimes under the worm there's a little bit of a bigger solar piece because it is actually worth more, which is it's one of the big highlights of repeatedly farming it out. But airstrikes are very dissuading of having blue kind of roosting there in the mid.
And Atypically is going to... Oh, never mind. Atypically might be fine if she can dodge the shotguns or the fist in that particular case. Yeah. That had to hurt. But a really good hammer out of Scoop also managed to help pick off the Leon on Win Fast Please. So well played by Keenan. 1-for-1 trade, finally putting closers on the board for 3 kills total at the 8-minute mark.
Yeah, a little bit of a slower early game, but it is Sirona. It's going to be really just a bigger game of footsies. And if you can't get the early game advantage, then really what you want to try to do is, again, just exactly what Blue is doing here. Try to bully out very slowly the opponent so that you can start taking hold of the mid and just trying to, you know, build back up those solar reserves. You can see the bigger solar right there under the worm as well. But, you know, I do have a lot of faith here in the Scoop because just so many horizontal planes for that hammer to be traveling.
On the downside, it means that there's not so many places where you can opt to bounce the hammer and do those creative trick shots that net you those bigger snares and higher damage numbers. Oh, lots of damage coming out on Atypically, but Mabel's going to go ahead and pay the price as all 3 end up collapsing. The surprise Leon on buckets doing a large amount of damage. Atypically going back in, being maybe a little bit close to the wire here. Buckets trying to chase down the Leon on the other side. Mr. Fridge now running away for his life, but Keenan unable to really chase fully thanks to the knockback on shotgun.
I was going to say, was that a knockback shotgun?
It is a knockback shotgun. You can tell because Ted bought some underpants. So
that's how you always.
He's got it's right there. It's the American underpants. This is Power Briefs. Ugh. So
too many jokes come to mind.
Oh, let's not go there.
Yeah, I agree.
So all things considered, right now both teams bouncing off each other, completely equal in terms of kills. Now the Solar is a slightly different story with the Scoop being slightly behind. However, the rest
slightly behind.
Sorry, the Penny's slightly behind now. That's strange, but. Right, as it stands right now, they're pretty equal. Actually, both teams pretty much there on Solar, despite the fact that it feels like Win Fast Please has had the middle for a lot longer, and in comes a lot of damage. The hammer doing a lot to set up almost 2 kills, but they both managed to get away just in time.
Yeah, in terms of some of the items going back and forth, like, you still see both teams actually just playing, again, to their strengths, but it's still more or less Win Fast Please, still farming up a little bit better at this point than Closers. 2-2 for the kills, and a lot of hit points do get traded out quite a bit between these two, but oh, the hammer sets up so nicely, but it typically gets thrown into the turret, and all the vertical movement in the world is not going to help her there.
No, absolutely not. She got a little bit too greedy and got too close to a Skoldir. Never get too close to a Skoldir because it's going to hurt, particularly if you have no means of getting out. And Penny can sometimes have a very difficult time getting out of a sticky situation. Mr. Fridge almost dying to a well-placed hammer. That hammer now having max damage on it, well as the Twisted Lance, so which allows it to go farther. Oh, what? No.
The worm. You missed a worm.
No.
Who are you anymore?
I don't even know.
We fed your pet worm, and you weren't even there to acknowledge it.
I don't need to see my worm be fed. I just need to know that he is fed, okay? It typically, unfortunately, gets picked off trying to get away and then gets tongued back right into the fight. So, like I mentioned before, tongue is a really good way to make sure that people stay exactly where you want them to in some areas, and this is one of those times.
Look at the difference in the Leon builds right now. I mean, both of them do actually go for those backstabs, but at the same time, it seems to be more auto attack centric here for Closers. But on the same side of Win Fast Please, you know, you got like the mask coming out there, and of course the clones. Yeah,
absolutely. And so far, the clones for Hey 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 on Team Win Fast Please haven't quite come out yet. It seems more like he's just going for the just for surprise party mask and going for the burst build.
Oh, that burst.
Whereas you've got the Leon on the other side with buckets. He's just going for straight up DPS. Yeah. He's got attack speed and backstab. So they're just focusing on different things, but they're doing the exact same thing roughly. Will either of them go clone army though? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't actually see the invis there for Buckets. I guess I just haven't really been seeing his clone kind of being put into interesting areas. But wow, Buckets just jumps right through that airstrike and loses most of his hit points for it. And at the same time, it does look like Win Fast Please. Hey, 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 goes triple pills now.
Triple pills? Oh, wow, you're not kidding. That is an impressive amount of HP. Look at that. He's
not
as much HP. He's got more HP than Ted.
That's rather.
Look at that. That's hilarious. He's got more HP than Ted, and out he comes. He's going to go ahead and try to stab Atypically and misses practically everything. So Atypically is going to be fine. Out comes the left click blast there, and that's going to be it. So no heart-shaped net, no consistent harass between all the rest of that.
Look
But
at those heals, too. My gosh, 32 a shot.
yeah, lifesteal on the backstab can be painful. Oh, and Buck, what just happened there? Keenan picking up a hammer. Now has the lead on kills and everything else. Hey, goes down to a very well-placed pulse. And that's going to be a 2-0 exchange for Closers. Closers now going to go ahead and see if they can't pick up a turret in
Scoop,
response. Our boy Scoop, seriously, look at that. Was impressive. I did not expect that to happen. That was really quite cool.
I don't know if he's celebrating up there. He just doesn't know how to swing the hammer right now. He's just so giddy after that. But it was a nice clip, 2 for 0. I mean, that's the key to start and put up some of their own damage numbers on these turrets, because right now it is, 1 turret 0, but look at how pristine the red turrets are. They've not even been touched.
You're right. This is the first scratch we've seen on these turrets. That's one of the big problems that this team makeup has, is that there's no real pusher yet. And if Leon can manage to get the right gets the right abilities, they'll be able to push by accident. Oh, hey, wanted to. Hey, really wanted to, but there was no dice to be had there. That would have been really funny.
It's pretty interesting that we had to have, again, Invis Leons on Sorona, just trying to get each other with.
I swear that's on purpose. It has to be.
Oh, we got health packs coming out of
Yep,
those
Ted
airstrikes
going
now.
for a really cool build with the double health pack build
Hamburger
on airstrike. That's really neat. I actually really like that build. It's a really fun one.
Stun lands there on top of the Leon into the top, but Penny not really able to kind of capitalize too much. Again, the spam hammers coming out. And if you're not doing the cooldown hammers, I don't know what you're doing, but with the max damage and the length and the cooldown, it's almost a snipe hammer. And we talked a little bit about that earlier.
Yeah, no, I find I quite like snipe hammer whenever I play Scoop. It's a really powerful way to avoid having to engage yourself. Really nice bounce off of that hammer. I'm not sure if that was on purpose. I doubt it, but it ended up doing not very much as he gets chased away by Hey and Mr. Fridge. Mr. Fridge now sporting all 3 of his gun upgrades.
Yep.
So that's a lot of machine gun damage while he's chasing, and it does have range too, so it's almost impossible to escape if he's keeping speed with you. Buckets almost gets the kill on Fridge. Fridge running away for his life right now. He does have the knockback shotgun, but it's not going to be enough. Atypically, he does end up picking up the kill, but he's going to go ahead and get away. A good juke in midair. The Skoldier, Mabel, unable to really keep up or keep pace in the same way, vertically speaking. So now we're up here. It's 6-5. Slight advantage for Win Fast, please. Hey, looking to deal some damage to this turret alongside Mabel. Buckets doing his best to defend.
Did Buckets actually finish off with the chainsaws there?
Yep.
Yeah,
he's going full left click.
Yeah,
full left click, but it's a left click that works with clones.
Well, Skoldier, big target, slow. Ted, big target, slow. Why not?
Yeah, and if you can pull it off, if you aren't getting killed a lot in these fights because you have, say, a Scoop to do a lot of the tanking for you, then yeah, it's definitely something worth doing. Hey, just dancing around. People are looking for him, waiting for him to show up. Mr. Fridge getting caught out. Wow, that pulse almost kills him. Mr. Fridge just barely going to live as Keenan now running away as fast as he can. Hey, unable to quite follow up because atypically got off a really good pounce. So Mr. Fridge barely got away with his life. Literally could not see any green on his health bar. And that was extremely close. Here we are, 60-minute mark. The worm almost being fed twice. He needs to be fed at least once every 30 minutes to be happy. So
that's just
so
what
far
you
we're
want
okay.
to give him. He's a fat worm these days, Wolf.
Well, look, you don't want him to get sluggish, all right? You want him to stay a worm.
Well blades here.
Thank you.
Buckets is actually going to get chased off here, but that is the dangers of this map. So far, it's a veritable slugfest. 6-5 at the 16-minute mark. Only 1 turret down. It's just both teams are vying for the control here. Both teams are going for big kill-centric comps. And kill-centric indeed. And here goes atypically.
Oh, atypically taking the fall there. What just happened there? Did he just
died?
Just died.
Just died.
Okay. And with
stun
that,
punches, the airstrikes, the tongue. I mean, that tongue has its own reward sometimes.
Absolutely. And there's no damage on it. This is the first time I've seen a Leon in a while who just, you know what, tongue damage?
Both of them, actually.
I don't need it. And then we've got both of them thinking this way in this game.
It just goes to show you can play these knots multiple different ways. There's no just one way to do it. It's not just ball Coco. You can also go blades. You don't have to go tongue. You can also go auto attack.
I also think it has a lot to do with the situation, right? Like in this case, both of them understand that they can go for all manner of things, but hey, currently sitting on 400 solar right now, and Mabel taking a little bit of damage from buckets. All we're doing right now is waiting to see, like, if Closers can actually get a decent sized gank on these guys. Mr. Fridge taking a lot of damage. Keenan going in. He's got the sword. Does he have the hammer of justice? Is he going to be able to land it? Not quite. He almost gets it, though. Keenan now looking for other people to smack around with that hammer, but no dice. He's just going to miss and Fridge is going to be fine as well. So Bucket's now looking to maybe get a pick off as he jumps around, gets the creeps up there instead. And yeah, that's it for that particular engagement. No one dying.
No, not yet. Now you're talking about a little bit more into late game with closers, with win fast please, and looking at some of these item builds, I'm actually very, very scared of closers kind of getting some big clutch kills and then pushing really hard because auto attacks and backstabs, and it's just Leon. Late game Leon can absolutely wreck, and we have multiple ways to kind of like stop the enemies in their tracks, and that just leads into perfect bucket kills. So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards here as we go farther into this game.
I'm expecting that kind of thing to happen too. What I would also like to see happen, and what I think is going to end up happening, is that eventually Scoop is going to pick up the damage he needs to be more useful in these team fights. Currently, he's doing a good job with his hammer. He's landing them. Right now, it's doing crowd control. But once he gets the damage on the bindings, that's where I think their team fight is really going to sing. And combine that with the Penny's pulse, that's going to be a very, very brutal team fight capability. Hey, going for a little bit of damage on atypically. Atypically, he's going to miss the pulse, and the red team's going to go right back to doing their thing. Now, Mr. Fridge picking up 3 ranks in pills as well now. So on top of the health pack, he's actually going to be very difficult to kill if he aims those airstrikes appropriately, because he's got so much HP and a lot of burst regen now.
That is something else. Mr. Fridge, not only is he actually bringing a lot of damage to these fights, he's also the support with those hamburger phones.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job with them, too. And keep in mind, if that hamburger phone...
Buckets?
Buckets might burn to death. And he does, the airstrike being enough. Oh, wait, no, that was the earthquake being enough to get the kill. Yeah, the burn on the earthquake. Because there is a burn you can get on airstrike, but that's not there. No, he does not have it. He's got the rocket.
When did he pick that up?
He didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, if we can't get those perfect engages here for buckets, the health pack advantage actually will go the way of Ted because of the double airstrike. Not only will it be completely useful for zoning, but at the end of it all, you get a delicious hamburger out of it, which means that hit points are going to be determining, if you die.
It also means that if the team is low on HP, he can heal them up a decent amount, because both of those health packs can heal in an AoE if they're standing on top of one another.
So that's kind of the big trade-off here. I'm seeing more damage from the closers. If they can get those perfect engages and really position buckets with those auto attack upgrades that he's done, I think they can do well. But if you can't burst down anyone from Win Fast Please, they're just going to heal up and keep pushing, just like they're doing right now.
Absolutely. The other thing that might help out is if the Penny picks up Silence, but I don't see Silence yet on their side of the field. They've got the Death Lens, they've got damage, but they don't have a Silence on that pulse. And that Silence is so good. Buckets, but just manages to get away. The entirety of Red Team is also fairly low in some way, shape, or form. Mabel taking a lot of damage from the turret and then running to grab the health pack. So, all things said, net equality in terms of HP on Mabel, but the heal punch is going to bring him back up.
I saw Penny on closers there atypically. She was really low hit points, actually dodged out the first airstrike and then dodged out the second. I got to give her props for that, because otherwise that was almost a guaranteed kill for Win Fast Please. And a kill at this point for Win Fast Please. Like, they got both of those tier 1 turrets. It's really only that last turret between them and the core. So any kind of advantage that they're going to get, it's going to translate directly into pushing since they're so far up anyway. So not dying right there atypically basically just is going to prolong, again, this push.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing to keep in mind here is if this last turret goes down, that gives access for hey to kind of just sneak in the back and do his thing, right? Yep. So that's annoying. So Mr. Fridge and Mabel sitting on top of one another, getting the heals, working together, solving the problems.
And look at that, they're full hit points essentially again.
Yep, those health packs are a little bit mean, to say the least.
Even better,
in the game.
Mr. Fridge can place them basically where he's standing right now, grab the creeps above him, and then those health packs can go to his teammates.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
it's really quite cool. Like, this pick on Serona seems to be working out really, really well. But currently, if Closers realizes this, they're currently at a 3v2 advantage as Hey is not there. Mr. Fridge getting caught out by a hammer, but he's going to say, nope, I don't care. And Shotgun comes out, and Keenan's not going to be able to do anything about it. As Hey comes right back into this fight, atypically looking for an opportunity to open in on somebody here, I believe.
Yeah, but there's that invis. That hey, Leon's both sides do have some sizable upgrades, and look at they just hit points melt right there.
And Mabel going to take a lot of damage as Bucket's trying to chase, trying to do something. Fridge really low. He's going to go down to atypically. And Keenan going to do the same, unfortunately, for
double.
team closers.
Double.
And now it's just Leon
Just
on Leon
Leon's,
action.
yeah.
I want the music from Punch-Out right now.
Sword duel going on. Where's Gladiator when you need it?
All right. But here it goes. We got Leon on Leon business for the next 20 seconds. And
Producer gave you what music he could, sir.
it's all gravy. But yeah, the music from it's like Smash Bros. The Punch-Out rings would have been perfect right about there. You know what? Have you know the Froggy G tournament that happened a little while ago?
Let's go with yes.
Yes. Okay. So there's like a Froggy G on Froggy G, just Froggy G tournament. Everybody has all the HP. It's like first one to a certain number of kills. I'd love to see that for Leon as well. That'd be kind of fun.
I don't actually remember the lyrics to this theme song, but it's Froggy G. I mean, it's really kick-ass music.
It is.
Could have actually went with that. In fact, I'm not entirely too sure we're actually on killing sprees anymore from anybody.
No, we're not.
Perhaps, hey.
Perhaps, hey.
Yeah.
As we're currently looking, hey is actually at 2 kills, 2 deaths. We got Mr. Fridge at 2 kills, 3 deaths, 4 kills, 2 deaths for Mabel, but
So,
he has
yeah,
definitely not
no
had
killing
that.
spree,
No killing spree there. And I can practically guarantee that no one's had a killing spree on CLS yet.
Fair
Closers looking
Yep.
pretty good. Fridge taking a lot of damage. Mabel
Wow.
taking even more. And down they go. Hey, the only one left alive. Mr. Fridge
Nice.
takes a really good hammer to the face. And is he going to be able to get out alive? He does a really nice juke around the side there, and he's going to be able to get out of there in one piece. However, Mabel dying, which means that it's a 3v2 advantage in favor of closers, who are now looking to start pushing their first tower for a little bit more damage. Again,
Yeah.
just barely scratching it, though.
But it's really hard to push up against the Leon right now because he just absolutely decimates these creep waves. Like, you're really going to have to just kind of get him out of the way if you want to do this. Sure, you got Mabel, but, okay, let's take Fridge. That's a good alternative as well.
Yep, that was an entire collapse. There's only so many people you can push away with shotgun before things go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And now
the
it's
body blocks.
his
Yeah,
turn.
there you
he
go.
goes down to some swords all over the place. And you know what?
That's
This
a
is
turret.
Yeah, that would be the bottom
maybe
turret.
not.
Oh, almost. Just one more droid wave, and Mabel playing badly will do it. Oh, never mind. Keenan getting a
Mabel
really good
playing
last hit with
badly?
the hammer.
What?
Mabel playing badly? What's that?
I didn't hear that. 10-10 for the kills. Again, an absolute slugfest. The items are starting to kind of just go off the screen at this point as everyone's kind of hitting that, that 2/3, that 80% mark. The solar, we talked about this a few times. It was more or less still with win fast, please. But we've done a heck of a lot of catch-up, and it's not really a surprise to me to see the Leons in first place for in terms of both teams in general and teams. 2,700 now for Buckets, 2,500 for Hey.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see like how much is happening with all the with the two Leons doing as much damage as they are.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see how their builds end up stacking up against one another, because currently Bucket's going for all the good utility. We got Piggy Bank on Hey, which means that he's going to be weaker late game by at least a little bit, but we'll see by how much. Hey taking a little bit of damage. So is Mr. Fridge. These hammers out of Keenan are proving to be extremely annoying for the Scoldier, who just can't get close to it. Yeah, that's why you go damage on hammer, because you can just toss out the hammers and Hey going in for a really ballsy backstab and just jump out. If he had been caught fast enough, that would have been the end of that. Mabel taking a bunch of extra damage. He almost died.
So close.
Hey, almost done as well. And they're just going to wait out the airstrikes for a second.
Yeah, hammers don't actually hurt the turrets, right?
They do, actually, they do.
Wow, all right.
Not for a
never
lot of
mind.
damage, but they do hurt.
Hey,
and
they
from a
hit it for
distance,
enough.
yeah, from a distance, they can poke a little bit. Penny coming from behind, but the pounce misses. Mr. Fridge now has a shotgun and a Penny to maybe toss into the turret, but no dice. That Penny doing so much damage.
Well, the Penny has pills, I want to say. Yeah, 2 ranks, 3 ranks. All 3 ranks of pills.
That's an impressive number of pills at this point.
Well, standard number of pills.
Yeah.
26 minutes in, Mr. Wolf. I'd
Touché.
hope you have triple pills by now.
Well,
and
you
I
think
say
so,
that.
but look at Keenan.
Yeah,
and
I was
he's
gonna
got
say,
1.
I say that.
And look at the
There,
Scoldier.
no,
and
he
he's
has
got
triple
2.
pills.
Okay.
I'm totally right.
Scoldier, he's only got 2.
Well, that's Mabel. Mabel has heal punch.
That's true. He can get away with it.
That heal punch is a very sizable heal punch.
It is a very sizable heel punch. It is incredibly painful. Mr. Fridge and Mabel taking another hammer to the face. Boom. Mr. Fridge taking like another 700 damage hammer to the face. Buckets gets the tongue off. Oh, hey, almost going down. Now Penny needs to run. Atypically needs to be super careful. Hammer coming out, and then a pounce just barely missing. So the entirety of Team Win Fast Please gonna have to head home. And their misnomer really carrying forward at this point. At the 27-minute mark, 10 kills apiece on each team.
It's, again, Slugfest is my word of choice to describe this map. 10-10, we're actually under a kill a minute, believe it or not. On our first map on Sirona here for the stream. That hammer, though, again, is just leading into buckets, and unfortunately, it's just, there was no follow-up. Buckets is actually going to drop. There goes Keenan. The tower is secure, but now Penny's going to be on the run, and she does not have the hit points, I think, to actually dodge this. I say that, but no.
Oh.
It's going to be a shotgun to put down the Fox.
Yep, boom, headshot. That's how the story of the Fox and the Hound probably normally would have ended. But
Spoilers, bro.
I'm not saying that that's what it is. Come on, you have to have watched Disney. Anyway, here we are. Ted doing his best, pushing up the lane with airstrikes and the heal packages on top of it. He's going to be perfectly fine pushing this forward. He even kept the droid wave relatively healthy.
The heals, actually, the health packs do work on creeps.
Yeah, and it's incredibly potent against with creeps
They're
on
full
their
health.
Yeah, they're now at full health again, ready to go. Oh, but they start melting as Keenan goes in for the damage. He just needs to get one good hammer off, and it misses.
Wow.
Buckets going in for the tongue. Is he going to be able to find it? Yeah, no! The shotgun, too strong. Out comes the hammer, and it's not good enough. The hammer is going to come down on him as Keenan picks up yet another kill.
Bringing bigger character model.
Yeah, bringing up the 12th kill for closers.
13-12, going back and forth, but still a kill is a kill. Ted is now going to be out of the match for a little bit, and this will lead us into some own pressure here from closers. I really don't know how to call this, Mr. Love. I mean, we're so late into this game, it could go any way at this point.
Yep, but the hammer is going to come out, and Mabel's going to take a lot of that damage. Penny's still alive, but Hey is going to go ahead and pick up that kill. Bucket's going to toss Hey behind the tower, and at this point, there's going to be some middle tower damage. Oh, wow, Keenan almost going down. He's barely going to survive, and now they all need to run. If Fridge gets a hold of either of them, it could be a big problem. So the entirety of Team Closer are going to go ahead and run away. But you're right, like, this is a really close game. Despite this, look at the solar difference here, and it's really not that apart. Yeah, there's like maybe there's less than 100 solar. It's like less than 100 solar between both teams.
Quick math skills coming out big right there.
Oh wait, no, never mind. Ted's got 100 more solar than Penny, but like it's an impressive amount of solar, all things considered, considering how like small the difference is. And both teams still keeping on top of one another. Some interesting pickups though. We got Pinot Noir coming out for Buckets, which means he is not going for a clone Leon build whatsoever.
Pinot Noir is extra damage out of stealth?
No, it is the regen on stealth, so they can
go
into.
So he gets drunk while he's.
Yeah, he gets super fancy kind of drunk, and as a result, he can come back in and out of these fights as quickly as he pleases with that huge amount of regen and the regen from pills.
Oh, that was a tongue.
So no kill happening there. Buckets looking to maybe find something on Hey. He goes in for the attacks. There's going to be some damage popping out. Hey, taking a lot of it. He's going to bounce around, and he's going to get out of there eventually. Atypical looking for something.
Nice.
The hammer coming out. The pulse is not long range enough, and that's not going to hit anything, unfortunately. So Atypically, unfortunately, unable to cement any lead at the moment for her team.
30-minute mark. This is now officially our longest game on stream.
Yep, and we are currently sitting at 13 and 14 kills for Closure and Win Fast Please, respectively. Double silence being picked up on Hey's Leon, so he can initiate for his team well enough. Mabel going to get an earthquake on there.
Yeah, that actually hit atypically. I didn't actually think that would, but if this is not going to be a tongue, there's the tongue.
Yep, and right now things are looking a little rough for Atypically. If he gets caught out by anybody on the other team, and I thought Hey would be in a better position to do so, but no dice. No. And Bucket's going to go ahead and walk back as well.
Yeah, you had to deal with Buckets. I think that's why he was actually a little preoccupied at the time.
Right now, we've got the stun duration on Pounce increased as well. There's a couple of other things on Penny. The damage on the bindings for Scoop is now almost maxed out. All that's going to be left after this is his left click. Mr. Fridge taking a lot of damage. Is he actually going to end up going down? Not likely. Atypically also running for his life. And he might actually, nope, there's the burn. The earthquake is too strong. Out comes the hammer. It's going to hit Hey in the face. Now, here's the question. Is Keenan going to find him?
Nope.
No.
Couldn't.
And that's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange. Mr. Fridge for Atypically.
Not entirely too sure actually gets the better of that one, but I do know that Keenan can actually start sieging from afar with those hammers because it does hit towers, and it has a heck of a range on it as well.
Now keep in mind, the turret does have to shoot things in order for it to be hittable. There is some form of backdoor protection.
And that's what they're doing here in this top lane. They're just going to try to push it out so we can do things like sieging from afar.
Hey, going down here, cleaning up some more creep waves. He's also picked up the double damage, so he's got silence and double damage on that tongue, so that's a lot of burst. Whereas,
that poor clone. Oh, the clones move now.
yep, the clones are definitely getting to a point where they can walk, which is, I'm not sure if that's the better out of the two upgrades, but lots of damage coming out. Keenan going for it. There's a hammer. Mr. Fridge takes it. Mr. Fridge needs to get out of there, and he's going to be able to succeed in doing so, although a hammer comes. Oh, the hammer just misplaced by a little bit.
Is it me, or does it just look like Win Fast Please on these trades are still actually kind of now slipping?
Slightly. The fight seems to be moving slowly from the right side to the left side.
Yeah.
We're now around this eyeball for the most part.
That's
as,
our landmark.
Hey, it's an important landmark. So as we get close to this eyeball, the fight is taking place more on the side of Win Fast Please instead of where it's traditionally been so far, which is on the Closure's side of the field. So this could, that's a sign, I think, that Closure is on the move here to win. But it is by no means an indicator of who's like truly going to win this game. Like, this is still a very equal game right now, and there's been no lack of action at all either. It's not out of cowardice. It's out of just good play. And Ice Buckets playing the mind games, just hiding next to their turret in an attempt to not die, but he ends up getting killed by the airstrike. And hey, swinging around his sword as he realized that he got bumped. Hey, gonna pick off Keenan as well, and going to survive. Atypically now running for her life as she tries her best not to get punched and at the same time get a kill.
She's just looking for it. I mean, we did have those hamburgers go down, so we're not really feeling a lot of the burn here from Win Fast Please, but they have to try to capitalize on those double kills. Atypically at this point is just merely stalling, but if she can take Mr. Fridge to the grave with her, it could actually be a very worthwhile trade. But it doesn't look like she's actually going to be able to solidify a kill, and it will be that Leon actually finishing off for that tower.
Which is very unfortunate for Team Closure at this point, because if they can't kill the Leon repeatedly, they're going to have a very difficult time dealing.
Oh, how did that tongue miss?
That barely
the hammer.
The pounce.
Oh, typically, right. So she actually fled from inside her base through the jump and then came back around from behind. That was actually really smart.
That is a really good way to do things. That was an excellent cutoff. Very good game sense out of Atypically there, getting that kill. That was very, very smart. So right now the push is... Yep, now comes the Hammer Siege as Team Closure finally putting in their dent on this bottom turret. But they still have to be careful. That Ted McPayne airstrike just going to be too much. Ends up taking out Atypically, who has done such a good job of surviving and being an annoyance over the past few minutes. 18-16 at the 35-minute mark as we finally march into the final segment of this game. Both teams have a Leon. If the final turret goes down, then it leaves it wide open to attack. However, if Hey dies at any point, that is a massive downside for either team. And
for either team?
Sorry, for
if Leon dies.
If Leon dies, it's a massive problem for either team. But in particular, Hey does not want to backdoor this core right now. If he tries to do that, he will get ganked and killed, and that'll leave their core wide open to what could be a set of snowball kills, which would be very problematic for their team.
Yeah,
Hammer comes out, doing a
decent
amount of damage.
It's going to be really good for the Hammers. Like, these Hammers are going to consistently land buckets, and Hey, they're just kind of dancing, but they don't know it yet. And Mr. Fridge already down so low. That's actually going to be a massive kill there for Keenan. And now it looks like the big target's going to be Mabel. It actually gets grounded, and Keenan goes home with the double. Hey, it's actually now going to be the lone defense. And this time, the push from Closers is going to have their Leon with them.
And hopefully a decent wave of droids, but Sirona is a massive map. As you can see, this thing is absolutely huge. It's going to take forever for them to get across this thing. So it could take a while for their droids to catch up or do anything. And by the time they do get to that turret, everybody's going to be back, and they're going to have to win another team fight, but against another turret. Now, up here, Hey,
he is going for the back door.
He's going for the back door, going for the dirty tricks.
Penny's back at home, though.
And he knows. That's why he's waiting.
It's actually very curious how he does know that.
Yeah, well, he saw her, but
I think.
But I guess he thought better because now he's walking back.
Yeah.
And
if he can ambush, but they're not pushing up, that could actually lead them into a very favorable game-ending scenario.
Now, both teams have their cores exposed. By the look of things, both cores at relatively good HP. This is a really close game right now, and it's going to depend a lot on the next team fight, really, because if any team fight goes sour, there's going to be core damage.
As a note, this is very likely full builds. Like, I'm not really too sure you can actually buy anything else from these teams because we're all over 3,000 solar. I mean, okay, the Scourger's just about to get there, but that's a very, very full and late game centric build.
Absolutely. Hey, getting a lot of damage on him. Mabel might end up going down to atypically. Mabel does go down. Hey, the only one left alive close to this fight, and now Ted running for his life. That is 2 people down, and the entirety of Team Closure is still very healthy. Out comes the pulse, out comes the death, and now it's just down to ending the core. I think that at this point, Closure takes this as they beat this core into the ground.
Yep. Undisputed. So, wow, a little bit of a slugfest going back and forth, and yeah, it's my favorite word for Sirona with the slug. But 21-18.
It's a worm. It only ate once.
You called it sluggish.
That's if it eats more than twice.
Yeah, so, and I called it sluggish. Anyways, 21-18 was the final score. 38 minutes. Very, very long game. Actually, our longest one to date so far here for the stream. And that was only game number 1, Mr. Wolf.
That was.
We have another game in reserve ready to go.
This is going to be crazy. These 2 teams bounce off each other really well. They're
They
playing
do.
well. They are a good match for one another. That was an excellent game. And it's probably exactly what I expected out of a map on out of a game on Sirona. Like Sirona
a longer
does
game,
that.
more footsie kind of game.
Exactly. It's one of those games that you expect out of a map like this, which is massive and plays well to, okay, let's sit back and play this strategically. Multiple team fights. It's the big map.
Well, 38 minutes, and we ended up with 39 kills. We just barely broke 1 kill a minute. So strategic is probably a really good word for this. You just don't go in willy-nilly.
No.
You got to really time it out. The Leon builds were definitely fantastic to look. I mean, nearly 4,000 solar for both of them by the end of it. In fact, the only difference between them, I'm looking at 200 solar.
Yeah,
like they both performed
solar
very
and
admirably.
only barely. Like at that point, solar stops mattering. Both of them had maxed out builds.
Yeah.
So
there's no potions. There's no late game. There's no boosts. You don't have any of that in this. It's just once you're done with your items, that's it.
That's
cash.
all.
Now you just want to give away the cash. It's just like
so at that point, I don't know what to say. It was really good team execution out of Closure, bringing that game to the finale that we ended up seeing. They won that team fight. They chased down the Ted, killed him, and just ended it. The rest of the time, they did a really good job of playing well to their strengths, and they really utilized Scoop's ability to just get in a fight, wade in, and brawl.
I just call him Hammer. Like when I first saw him and I came back last time, I was like Hammer. Yeah, that's it. I don't know why it's called Scoop. His name is Hammer. Clearly,
because it's the Scoop adjustment.
Nah, it's a hammer. It's a hammer. All right, game number 2. We're gonna get that ready for you guys here in just a few. So it's gonna be a quick one. So hit the washroom, get your popcorn, take a picture of Scoop here, and when we return, game number 2 of Win Fast, please. Who maybe will do it this time up against Closers because it is a best of 3. Don't go anywhere.